You are listening to Digging In Podcast, presented by Rooted Wealth Advisors.
Hey everybody, welcome into another episode of the Digging In Podcast presented by Rooted Wealth Advisors. I'm your host, Kencho Kelly, helping you get those questions answered to and through retirement. Today, back by popular demand, Joe Mateja.
Listen to that crowd roar.
Hey, I can hear them all the way from Wrigley, man.
How's it going, Kench? Good to be back.
Good. How have you been?
Pretty good. When we last spoke, I was just moving into the house. So when you asked that question, my mind immediately went to the 9 gallons of paint that I've been plowing through.
9 gallons. How many rooms did you get out of 9 gallons?
We've got 2 bedrooms. We've got 2 hallways, dining room, entry, so like foyer area, living room, kitchen.
You stretched it pretty good, though. You stretched it pretty good. Was it painted a crazy color before you covered it up?
It was all like an eggshell, off-white, flat.
So just like very vanilla.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It was gross.
Well, when we moved in just a couple months ago, the main level was painted like a Mexican restaurant. So we have 2 rooms that are bright orange. They're actually dual tone orange. The top is like a bright Tennessee orange, and then the bottom, like under the wainscoting, is like a sherbet.
Go
orange.
Vols.
Go Vols all day. And then the entryway was like a bright yellow. We have another room that's a bright blue. My wife was like, this has to change right now.
Well, if you need some help, let me know.
You know a guy?
I know a guy.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I know a guy. He's pretty expensive.
Yeah, I bet he is.
Yeah.
Well, it's not his main area of expertise. To be fair, he does it on the side. So.
I do it on the side. Yep, absolutely.
There you go. Hey, man, I'm glad to have you back here. Always feel like we have some great conversation here and can dig into whatever we want. I really wanted to start, though, with a conversation kind of continuing from yesterday. So for those of you that don't know, we work with a strategic partner, Chris Smith. He's the author of the Campfire Effect, and he's worked with us through a lot of branding back when the company was Wall Street Financial Group, helped with the transition over to Rooted. Some of the real language and verbiage that we use today really comes back to our work with him from a couple of years ago. Just kind of reintroducing him to some of the newer team members. What was your takeaway from yesterday? I guess what was your biggest takeaway from our conversation with him?
So I've been doing financial services in some way, shape, or form for over a decade now, and as we chatted about during our last chat, Kench, I kind of shared my mission, and I feel as though I own that, and I believe in it, and I try to use that as a kind of my North Star, not just in this business but in life in general, right? Which, as a reminder, is to do my job so well that I have a profound impact in the lives of others. And yesterday, something that Chris mentioned, really resonated with me in relation to my mission personally. And he talked about how, in this industry, there's an advisor on every corner, right? We're a dime a dozen. So what really differentiates, what I do versus every other advisor in the world? And it kind of comes back to, taking a leadership role with not just within this firm, but with clients, right? My clients, he kind of opened my eyes a little bit to the realization that the folks that, value my advice and our guidance the most are the ones that are really kind of just grasping onto the fact that we are leading them, through this retirement journey, right? So it's really about leadership, right? And, less about advice or a specific product or a specific, investment. It's really just about leadership, right? So I would say that was my biggest takeaway yesterday.
I thought that was really cool as well, because just on our street, We've got over 50 different offices or businesses that are in some way, shape, or form related to insurance, finances, some kind of. They're not all doing what we do. And I like to be very biased here and say no one's doing what we do.
Bingo, bango.
But that was really eye-opening too, because I do feel like people want to be led, but I don't know that people understand that or like feel that, right? Because most people, like, I'm a guy, I hate asking for help on things. Like your painting example, like I'm like, well, Joe offered to help paint, but like, man, I really don't want to bother the guy. I can do it myself. Like there's a lot of that like attitude, and I don't feel like it's just with me. I feel like it's with a lot of people, and there's a big portion of the population that likes to DIY or DIY. If I said it backwards. Do
DIY.
it yourself, DIY.
Yeah. Yes, DIY.
Yeah, DIY. But there are some instances where you just need a professional and you're going to seek them out. We just go about it differently.
You know, there's a lot of analogies you could, insert here, right? The right tool for the job. We don't know what we don't know until we know, right? And I think that, that comes back to, the leadership idea. I think a lot of folks, they elect to sit down with an advisor, whether it's here or anywhere else, for a reason, right? There's something, maybe they're looking for tax advice within their investments. Maybe they're looking for portfolio building, ideas and strategies. They're looking for answers. But I think that once people kind of step through our process and, see, everything that, we do that they didn't know, right? The eyes get bigger and the jaw drops a little bit. And, now we know what we didn't know. Right. So, to your point, I think it's, people aren't necessarily looking for leadership or help until they realize that they can get it and they see, the benefits of receiving that help. For me though, Kinch, it's, I'm a control freak, right? I like to have control. I don't like to ask for help either, until I get the help from the right person or that professional. And I realize, well, shoot,
this was so easy. I should have been doing this all along.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of that, that kind of comes into the fold.
And I think too, like it's not like we're shy about what services we offer, right? They're printed out, they're in packets, they're in information that we put in front of people, but it's almost like they can read it, but not make a correlation to their specific situation until they get in front of you or John or Zach or, somebody that can help them walk through like, yeah, it says legacy planning, but like, what does that mean? And like, here's how it would apply to your situation. And so it's really about getting to know them. It comes back to that relationship and actually caring about that person, whether they become a client or not. Here's what I would advise you to do in this particular situation.
Yeah. And, I think I would take that a step further, Kench, and just say that, we do this every day, right? So we know how to connect those dots and connect put the pieces of that puzzle together for folks. And, I think that's the beauty of being in this role for people and being, trying to be that North Star, right? It's the fact that, we don't know what we need until we learn that, oh my gosh, I did need that, right? I don't know that anybody in the world ever thought that sliced bread was needed until it became a thing, right? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How'd you make a sandwich before bread was sliced? You probably used to rip it apart.
Or it was really thick with two loaves.
Right. It probably got the job done, right? Until you learn that, oh, this is possible. Right? What is possible? Right. There was a story that Chris mentioned yesterday that I don't think I'll ever forget. A couple of clients just had a goal of getting to retirement and maintaining some standard of living, and never really
very modest goal.
Very modest goal.
Very modest goal.
I just want get me to retirement. Here's the date. This is my goal. When in reality, this advisor, wasn't me, but Chris was the advisor, and he asked them a question, right, trying to lead, and the question was, what are your dreams, right? Well, the response, they were hesitant, but then they shared, well, yeah, we want to retire, but gosh, I would love to own a plane. He was a pilot. I'd love to own a plane, right? And the leadership that Chris showed these folks was or allowed them to answer that question. Well, what if you could own that plane?
Right. And
lo and behold, they could. Right. So it's sometimes we have a goal or we have a desire that we think is attainable or maybe attainable, when in reality, with the right leadership and the right guidance, maybe more is possible.
And I think that's so cool, right? Because it's like what Zach's been doing, for close to 20 years, what you've been doing for a decade, to throw John in there too, right? For another handful of years. It's like, what do you need for retirement, right? And most people will be, fairly conservative for what they need, but then it's almost like providing them, showing them this path that more is possible. That what is your dream? How can we help you go from what you need to what is your dream? And how do we make dreams happen? Just the challenge for us to be a firm that makes dreams happen for clients. And I know we got more stories than we can count where that's already been achieved through this firm in particular, but just knowing that we're on the right path, that we're doing something that changes people's lives for the better, and just helping them achieve that next level, unlocking that next level, and then doing it for each other too, having that back and forth with each other. Yeah,
I think that's one of the beauties of this business that is not taken lightly, is the fact that, and it's a challenge on the same breath, right? Is challenging people to think a little bit bigger, right? To one of the questions that I ask clients all the time is really simple, but it's pretty amazing what people will tell me when I ask. And the question is, what else? Right. So when I have someone tell me, I want to retire at age 65, I want to be able to spend X, Y, Z, I always come back with what else? What else? What else do you want?
Because there's always something that feels like somebody's holding back, right?
Something. There's always something. We all have an it. Right. So, for me, it's golf. Right. I'm going to golf every day.
Yeah.
That's my retirement dream. I just want to golf every day.
My nephew was spending a week at my house the other week, and I kind of tapped into the same thing. He's going into fifth or sixth grade. I can't remember. I'm a terrible uncle at that. But I was asking him what he wants to do, because he was asking me about what I do, and I was like, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, I don't really care what I do. I just want to make $1 million. I want to be a millionaire. And I was like, okay, but have you thought about it? Have you thought what that money looks like? Have you thought about okay, you're hearing this from somewhere. Do you realize that $1 million doesn't go as far as it used to? Think bigger, do bigger, man. I have every confidence that you'll be able to make more than $1 million. I believe in you. You believe in yourself and go get more. And I love that that's kind of the approach that we take for clients when they're trying to unlock that next level, the dream level of retirement. And that's so cool to see that you get to personally make that happen for people.
Yeah, it's something that's very humbling, and it's something that over the years I've been more and more surprised that, everybody is different. It is so cliche, but everybody's retirement, dream is different. And when I first got into this business, I didn't think that at all. My perception was, all I'm going to try to do is help people retire by a certain date. That's it. That's the goal. But in reality, that is not the goal, right? The goal is to unlock the dream and create, reality out of that dream, right? So, there's a quote that we were talking about earlier and back with Jackson and Logan, and I think that it would apply, right? So the goal that most people kind of come into this, the planning process with is just a date. I want a retirement date. But I would also say that, really goals are just dreams with a date, with an expiration date, right? So it is about the dream, but then it's creating, turning that dream into a goal, right? Turning that dream into a reality is simply just applying a date to it. What's the end date, right?
Right. And then having the flexibility to like, can we speed up the process? Can we speed up that date? Can we get you there faster? Can we get you that plane that faster? Can we get you on the golf course every day faster?
Yeah. What else?
Like,
what if?
Yeah.
What if we could?
Right. So it just looks a little different.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the fact that you and the rest of the advisory team really take that to heart when you go into meetings with not only current clients, but also prospects, and just, it's the feeling out process. It's the discovery, right? Of like what you can do.
Yeah, and I feel as though every time I meet with somebody, whether they've been a client for a month or 5 years or longer, every single time it's discovery, right? Every single time I have a conversation with somebody, it's discovery, because life happens too along the way. So, it's something that I really enjoy about what we do.
Well, speaking of discovery, I gotta let you jump because you got a
about
meeting.
5 minutes. Yeah,
you got a meeting you got to get to. You got to go to help somebody unlock their retirement dream. So that is super cool. That'll do it for us today. If you have any questions about anything you heard on today's podcast, if you want to talk to Joe himself about unlocking your retirement dream, give us a call. The number's 815-918-4727. I'll make sure that you get an autographed copy of the book Joe wrote with Zach here, Your Retirement Lifeblood. We'll get that out to you. Joe's calendar is filling up fast, so if you want to talk to him, give us a call. That'll do it for us today. Until next time, keep digging in.
This was Digging In Podcast, presented by Rooted Wealth Advisors.